Welcome. My name's Kathryn. I'm a physiotherapist, and I'm also a Pilates and fitness instructor. And those two worlds blend perfectly towards one another. Pilates and some of the core activation and mobility work I'm going to do with you today is so important to reduce, avoid injuries, and prepare your body for movement. I use these exercises both with myself and so often in clinic with the patients that I see. I even notice that if I don't do them for a while, there's a huge change when I pick them back up again. It's really important to start to pull out these imbalances and work towards building a stronger, more mobile, and more stable system. So we're gonna get started with that now. I'm just gonna come down onto the floor. And I have a few props with me today. I've chosen a ball, which I use for a lot of our mat series. It is absolutely optional. It's a good little tool to help you find neutral alignment of your hips, knees, and ankles. It's also a great prop to help us when we get into our roll back series. Again, if you don't have it, don't worry. A yoga block can also be substituted for that. We're gonna start our breath work with this block. So I'm gonna place it in between my knees. It's gonna give me a nice alignment of knees in line with hips, so our neutral pelvic rotation. It's also gonna help us to tap into our core. So I'm just gonna lie down on the mat. I like to have my hands on my hip bones. It's gonna help to make sure that I'm nice and flat and even. So we're gonna take a few nice grounding breaths, inhaling in through the nose, filling up our upper chest, our middle rib cage, and our belly. And then exhale, just letting that all go. So let's take 3 nice deep breaths together. Inhale. And exhale. Feel your feet on the mat, all 4 corners. Feel a little bit of activation in through the ball. Beautiful. And then from there, we're going to start to move with our pelvis. So just a little bit of Pilates foundations. We want to make sure that both sides of the torso are nice and long. You want to make sure that both hip bones are nice and even, so one isn't up or down relative to the other. And then from there, we're going to start to find a little imprint release. So as you exhale, you're going to tuck in through your low back, feel your low back get heavy on the ground. As you inhale, you're going to release it. You can go all the way into a bit of what we call an anterior pelvic tilt, so a little bit of space between your low back and the floor, but not so much so that you're popping out the rib cage. So it's all localized to the pelvic, and it's a beautiful way to start waking up the core. I want you to feel that as you exhale, you feel your core engage. As you inhale, you release. We're going to make this motion a little bit bigger, and this is where I like to have the ball. From there, you're going to find your exhale. You're going to roll through your imprint, and you're going to peel yourself off one bone at a time. Then with your inhale, you're going to start to lower yourself down with control. This is one of my favorite mobility exercises. It's a great place to lengthen out through the front of the hips, to open up the space in between each and every vertebrae, to feel the connection between your inner thighs, your pelvic floor, and all 4 corners of your feet on the ground. You'll start to notice, and I do it too, that you wobble a little bit from back and forth or side to side as you come up and down. And that's okay. This is our first mobility exercise. We'll start to refine that a bit when we get into our core. The next roll up we're going to do, we're going to hold it at the top. So as you exhale, maybe a little bit of tension in through the ball, just to wake up the inner thighs, not to squeeze and bear down on it. So a little bit of tension. Inner thighs connect to big toe mounds, so make sure that you're not rolling onto the outside borders of your feet. As you exhale, you're going to roll yourself up. From here, you'll notice that when your arms are up, it's going to put a little bit of tension in between your hamstrings and glutes. That's great. Without your arms on the ground, you're not using your lats to stabilize, so it puts more work in our glutes. It also is going to help to lengthen out our hip flexors and our lats, which are almost always tight in most of us that are sitting at a desk all day long. So finding that nice length, maybe reaching away like you're pressing your hands against a wall, finding the length in the lats, squeezing the ball, grounding all 4 corners of your feet. And then we're just going to find a couple more breaths here, stretching out the front line of the body, maybe the abs and the hip flexors. If you're doing a lot of core, we need to stretch out the front line of our body too. And then we're going to keep the arms as they are. We're going to slowly lower ourselves down 1 vertebrae at a time. When we get down to the bottom, we're going to find spinal neutral or pelvic neutral. So again, that's your halfway distance in between your anterior pelvic tilt and your posterior. So you're going to find your neutral, and then from there, I'm just going to take my fingers. You don't have to do this the whole time. You're going to place it onto the inside of your hip bones, okay? So I want you to feel that as you exhale and squeeze that ball a little bit, there's a little bit of tension that develops underneath your fingers. So as I exhale, I'm going to squeeze that ball, feel the tension develop. As I inhale, I'm going to release. And this is our very first core exercise. Again, I'm teaching you how to use the deepest layer of your abs. This is going to make sure that you're really nice and ready. Most people like to skip through these things, but this is so important to developing the deepest layer. Even from an aesthetic perspective, it really does help to flatten in through the abdominals, which is a good look that most of us are looking for. When we just work the superficial muscles, that rectus abdominis or your six-pack muscle, and again, we're just squeezing and releasing, you're going to notice that the abs appear a little bit bulkier. It's that deeper layer that helps to pull everything down. And for me, the most important piece is that's functional, right? That helps to stop that low back pain. It keeps everything nice and secure. Beautiful. So now you feel that deep connection. I'm going to take the ball out and try to reset myself exactly the way that I was in my nice neutral pelvis. So my second favorite core exercise are we call them core marches. And what we're trying to do again is as you exhale, lifting one leg up into tabletop. I'm going to always call this tabletop. As you inhale, you lower. Exhale, other leg lifts up. And you're trying to keep your pelvis as steady as you can while you're performing these marches. And yes, super easy if you're not using a lot of control. But I like to wobble. We all build up a nice list of injuries as we get older and with the more activities that we do. So the more that we focus on working that stability and not rocking from side to side, the more you're going to feel your core engage. The more you start to build up maybe a little bit of a shake. So let's go 4 more total. It's 1. I like my exhales to lift. 2. And don't worry if it's not nice and even for today. You'll work on this as you do this with more repetitions. Last rep. Second exercise, we're going to go into our lateral fallouts, lateral meaning out to the side. So again, this is going to work those deep abdominal muscles and those obliques. So I like to put my thumbs on my rib cage, my fingers on my hip bones. That just shows me how everything is aligned. As you exhale, one leg's going to lower to the side. Feel that opposite side oblique work to keep you stable. Inhale, that leg comes up. Obviously, I'm talking through this motion, so I'm trying to engage my core the entire time as you're moving. But to make it a little bit simpler in the beginning, you really want to focus on those exhales as you send that leg to the side. As I showed you in the beginning, the exhales tap into the diaphragm, the deep core stabilizers, and that's going to make this task a little bit smoother, a little bit easier for you. Beautiful. All right, so we're going to up this a little bit more. The easiest way to do that is to bring the arms up. Now you don't have that stability again. So we're going to do our second round of marches. And again, last bit in the warm-up, super easy. Exhale to lift, inhale to lower. Exhale to lift, good. So just feel how that core engages. The next time my right leg is up, we're gonna start to increase the challenge. Good. So from here, we're gonna try to find a single leg stretch. So as I exhale, I'm gonna stretch that leg away. As I inhale, I draw it in. This is the most basic option. I wanna take you guys up a level. So we're gonna bring that left leg up into tabletop and we'll start our counts now. Let's go for 8. Exhale to send it out for 1. Your goal is to maintain that neutral pelvis as much as you can. So we're trying not to rock and arch the pelvis. We're working the core stability, meaning we keep everything in line. Let's go for 4 more. Nice. For 3 more. Anytime that other leg can go down to the floor to make it a bit easier. If your hip flexors are engaged, you can open that leg to the side a little bit. Beautiful. We're going to switch sides now. Single leg stretch left side, 8 repetitions. Exhale away for 1, drawing it back in. Again, you're going to notice this difference between side and side. That's totally normal. I want you to use all of that information, the side you're weaker on, the side that's a little bit harder, to maybe work on that and build up that stability on that weaker side. Good. Let's go for 2. And we're going to find last one. From there, and reset if you need to, I'm gonna grab my ball. I'm gonna use this to increase the challenge. So you don't have to use a ball, you can use hand to thigh, but I'm gonna place my right hand and ball connected to my left thigh. I want you to feel as you do this, you're just creating this small little push. So I'm gonna exhale and push. I'm gonna feel my lower abdominals light up. Inhale to release. Let's find 4 more. Exhale, finding that push, good. Inhale to release, good. And 3 more. And release. And 2, we're gonna maintain the connection on the last one. Exhale, feel that connection. My low abs are really engaged. So it's knee to ball, ball to hand. We're gonna find a single leg stretch, adding the arm with the other side. So connection on this side, exhale, send it away for 1. We're gonna find 8 of these. Exhale away for 2. Our last rep will have a little hold. Trying to maintain that neutral as much as you can. That's 3. Exhale away for 4. Beautiful, good, almost there. Exhale away for 5. The hold is optional. If it's too much, you don't have to do it, or you can just hold with the arm. And 7, remember, only to stretch as far away as you can control neutral pelvis. This is our last one, it's our hold, good. We're gonna find small little circles here for 8. For 7, you can notice I'm starting to shake as I'm trying to maintain that neutral. That's what we're looking for. It's surprising how the littlest little motions start to bring out that shake. Last 2, last 1. Good. If your hip flexors are irritating you, bring them down and shake it out. Otherwise, we're going to go right into the other side. So opposite arm to opposite leg, ball in between. Hand gets placed there, and that's going to help you to build that connection and engage those lower abs. When we're ready, 8 repetitions. Exhale away for 1. Good. Bringing it back in. Good. Exhale away for 2. Good. We want to try to keep these breaks small, I say when you're ready. But what I mean is try to maintain the tension in the abs the entire time. But if you need a minute to pause and reset, this is all about these fine little movements and maintaining control. So I would rather you take a second to set yourself up properly and make sure you're feeling those abs and not just those hip flexors screaming at you. Let's find 2 more. We'll stretch it away and find those circles for your last one. Exhale, send it away, hold it there, and then small little circles. Try to pick the same direction of your circle as you did for the other side. Good. That's 4. Good. Let's find 4 more for 5. Good. For 6, keep that connection on the opposite hand and knee. Good. For 2. And last one, bringing it all in. Just give yourself a little shake back and forth. I'm going to release those hip flexors a bit, so we're just going to find a couple of bridges up towards the ceiling. I'm keeping my ball handy. We're going to use it for the next exercise. Again, it is optional. Last one, and then we're just going to rotate the knees from side to side. So just a little windshield wiper from side to side. Feel those hip flexors release. Maybe you heard a couple little cracks in your low back or mid back. That's okay. That's just those joints, spinal bones moving in their position very slightly. And then we're going to set up for our next round. So we're going to go into curl-ups. I really love getting some movement into the upper thoracic spine, so the upper to middle of the back. A lot of us don't move enough there, so again, I'm using that ball here. But if that doesn't work for you, you can take it away. You can use a yoga block. You can use a child stuffed animal, a couch cushion, whatever you have. If these curl-ups don't work for you, an option that you can do is try to do a little series of bridges and some pulses at the top while we go through this circuit. From there, again, we're trying to find neutral in through our pelvis. And we're going to find the easiest little curl up, but with the best intention of getting those deep abs to fire. So hands are going to go behind your head. And of course, you've heard it before. You're not yanking on your head. You're trying to keep your head just lightly supported in a hammock. The breath work for this is super important. I'm already up and with a little squeeze in through the ball. So pelvic floor is engaged, core is engaged, inner thighs. Let's start our ab prep. So it's an exhale to come up. It's an inhale to lower. Good. Exhale up for 2. Nice. I want you to feel even connection between left and right thigh, feeling that squeeze to tap into the abs. You're trying to flatten your abs away from your pant line, thinking of drawing your 2 hip bones together as you do it. You're trying also not to go into a deep imprint, so avoid that tucking. I'm showing you how I do it. Avoid that tucking of the pelvis. Most of us are stiff here, so we try to get more range by tucking our pelvis and crunching up. The goal is to maintain that neutral as you come up. All right, our first hold, we're going to hold it at the top, hold it up here. Good little squeezes with the ball. Elbows are wide, pulsing for 10, for 9, for 8. We're gonna hold that pulse in 7, in 6, in 5, in 4. Abs are flat, core is steady, in 3, in 2, and last one, hold that pulse. We're gonna find our Pilates 100. We're not gonna do 100 of them, we're gonna find 60. So it's inhale 2, 3, 4, 5, exhale 2, 3, 4, 5. That is the pattern. You're trying to keep yourself up. Most of us are gonna feel our neck tension at some point. So your option is one hand goes behind the head for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then switching sides to make sure we're nice and level. Good. For 5 more, 4, 3, 2. Keep engaging the squeeze. Ready? Last 20, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Last 10. Good. We're going to replace our hands behind our back or our head in 4, in 3, in 2, and 1. Lowering head, neck, and shoulders. Give yourself a little pause, and we're going to go into our obliques. So we're going to rotate starting towards the right side, all 10 reps on the right side. So exhale to rotate for 1. Inhale back down. Good. So that's the exercise. And I didn't say elbow to knee. What I want you to think about is the rotation. So you're putting a little bit of a squeeze that's helping to block the pelvis and stop it from rotating. And you're putting the focus in the rotation, the turning of the rib cage around the spine as you do it. Last 4, elbows staying nice and wide. Feel the feet connected onto the mat. Again, try to maintain that neutral. It's a harder place to do it. We're going to reach across our body. Good. Last one, reaching across the body, and we're gonna pulse for 10. For 9, you wanna up the ante, legs come into tabletop. Good. Last 6, last 5, last 4. We're gonna untwist in 3, in 2, and 1. Hands are gonna go behind the head. Good. And slowly lower. I wanna do the same on the other side. So we're gonna find that twist now. Exhale for 1. Good. Finding our 10 repetitions. Good. And 3, beautiful. Again, trying to square off the pelvis for 4. And 5, good. Keep that squeeze to connect to those inner thighs. Try to flatten out through the abs, good. Last 3, we're gonna reach across the body. I'm gonna try to find the same sequence, so bringing it up into tabletop. Try to do what you did on the other side if possible. Reaching across the body, my legs come up into tabletop, and I'm finding those pulses to finish. Good. Let's go for 8. For 7, we're gonna come off of our backs in 5, in 4, in 3, rotating into, and last 1. Good. Take any little adjustments, wiggles that you need. From there, I'm gonna keep the ball in between my knees for this bit. We're gonna take it out and in. Again, if you don't have it, don't worry about it. It's just helping me to maintain that inner thigh connection. So you're just squeezing the ball ever so slightly. We're gonna find our hands in knee position. And this helps me to make sure that I am engaged in my core. So you're trying to set yourself up so that shoulders are on top of wrists and knees are on top of hips. The biggest mistake that I see people make is that their knees are way in like this. That's our body's way of cheating us. It tries to engage our hip flexors more than our abs. So walking them back a hair, good. If your wrists are tight, you can give them a little bit of a stretch. Connect to your core. Feel the squeeze. And again, if you don't have the ball, just activate those inner thighs. We're gonna tuck our toes, and we're gonna start with our first round of bear hovers. So you're gonna find an exhale to lift. It's an inhale to tap down. An exhale to lift for 2. If your toes are tight, you might need to stretch them beforehand. I do find that's a limitation in some people. Tucking their toes becomes a bit of an issue. And then that changes how you can engage into your core. So just something to be mindful of. 5 more. We're not gonna hold it. We're gonna go into a single arm lift in 3, in 2, and 1. Now, here's an option to use your weight if you have it. If you don't, no worries. You're gonna push into the ground in your stabilizing arms. That's your left hand. Your right arm is gonna come out in front of you. Keep the weight in your left hand and your knees and squeeze the ball for stability. You're gonna send this arm back, row it in for 1. Just 5. For 2. Feel the connection on the left side while you're squeezing this in for 3. Good. For 4. Last time for 5, good, and then send it all the way out, squeeze the ball, find your hold, little pulses up for 5. For 4, for 3, keep pushing into the ground for 2, and last one, weight's gonna come down, right hand replaces, left hand is gonna reach up. So set yourself up again, shoulder on top of wrist, pushing into the ground. That's gonna activate the muscles underneath the shoulder, and believe it or not, that taps into your obliques, okay? From there, arm comes up. Again, you'll notice differences between sides. You'll see it in me too. Exhale, bringing it in for 1. Inhale, out. Good. Exhale, in for 2. Inhale, out. Beautiful. And 3. Just going to 4. And then the 5th one, we start that pulse. Good. So drawing it in all the way out. This is our pulse for 5, for 4, for 3, for 2, and 1. Whew. Weight comes down. It's a lot of work on your shoulders. Don't be surprised by that. We're going to find a little child's pose stretch. So you're just going to sit back and through your hips. Make this active. Push the floor away from you and really feel the length underneath the arms. That's your lats that are getting a nice stretch there. When you're ready, we're going to come onto our hands and knees. And we're going to start to find those bear hovers once again. So you're going to push in through the ground. And I want to just set us up with a little shoulder blade activity to make sure that our shoulder blades are in the right position. So engage the core. From there, you're going to push into both of your hands, and you're going to feel your shoulder blades wrap around your rib cage. That should connect to your core. Now, you can keep your toes untucked or tucked, whatever feels better for you. I'm going to untuck mine. And then you're going to squeeze the shoulder blades together, and you're going to feel your shoulder blades retract on your spine. So the goal is you're coming from protraction to retraction while trying to keep the rest of your body in as much of an alignment as you can. So it's not cat-cow, it's a straight spine. There'll naturally be a little bit of rounding as I protract and a little bit of extending as I retract, and that's okay. We're going to hold the push up. I feel so much work in my shoulders with just these small motions. We're going to go into our bear hover and hold it. So I'm slightly protracted, meaning my shoulder blades are on my back, and I'm going to lift up my knees. We're going to start to engage our obliques. We're going to pivot the knees towards one side and pivot the knees towards the other side. Now, if you're like me, your shoulders are feeling it already, and that's okay. We're going to go for 8 more, and 7, and 6, and 5. We're going to hold the knees over towards the right in 3, in 2, and last time, hold it. We're going to lift and lower just for 5. Feel your left core light up. We're going to find a side plank in 3, in 2, and last one. Good. From there, we're going to come into our side plank on our elbow and our knees, okay? So option to use a weight. Set yourself up. So knees are underneath hips, elbow is underneath shoulder. Either have your fist down or try to rotate upwards. I like fist down to keep it neutral. Arm is up, option to add that weight, lifting up and hold. Feel your left side oblique light up. Good. If this is enough for you, you're just gonna stay here. If you can, we're going to increase this challenge a little bit more by finding a rotation. So I'm going to reach that arm underneath, feel my left oblique fire, and up for 1. We're doing 5 of all of these. Rotating underneath, reaching up for 2. Reaching up for 3. Push, push, push deep into that elbow, into that forearm. Feel that shoulder blade muscle we were working before, light up, reach up and hold it. If you can, top leg extends. Option to stay here or final bit in this motion, in for 5. Good. Exhale for 2. Exhale for 3. Final little hold to finish it off in 4. Good. Last one. Stretch, reach long and hold it. Good. Reach, reach, reach just for 5. For 4. Bottom side oblique working. Last 2. And 1. Try not to rest. I'm going to put my weight to the other side. We're going to find a forearm plank. I like rectangles as opposed to triangle arms. Make sure to keep those shoulders in neutral. From there, you're going to start with those alternating knee lifts. I want you to feel those obliques engage here. Try to keep the core engaged, keep the glutes engaged, pushing through those hands. Last 4, last 3, last 2, and last 1. Beautiful. Come all the way down. We're going to go into our bear hovers, and we're going to find the rotations, this time to the left side, which is going to engage the right side oblique. So set yourself up again. You're going to push in through your hands and lift the knees to hover. From there, you're going to rotate the knees towards the left, and we're going to find 5 of these lifting and lowers. For 4, make them slow and controlled. For 3, How slow can you go to engage those obliques? The shake comes with the slowness, good. And last one, and lower. We're gonna go right away into our right side plank. I'm gonna keep my weight heavy. You're gonna stack yourself up so your right forearm is down, and you're down on those knees. One nice long line. Try to engage with that shoulder in neutral or a little bit of external rotation. And then from there, we're gonna take the weight as an option, and we're gonna lift and lower. So finding those little pulses, good. We're gonna start to add that with that rotation. So you're gonna rotate underneath for 1 and reaching up. Good, rotate underneath, reaching up for 2. Good, underneath and up for 3. Underneath, almost done. Last little bit in our sequence. One more plank to go. We're gonna hold it up from here, good. And if you can, lifting that leg, finding that alignment, stretch that arm overhead, and you're gonna start to bring it in for 1. Reaching out nice and long for 2. Just 5 of these for 3. Keep that bottom hip lifted, keep that core engaged for 4. Beautiful, last one, bringing it in for 5. Holding it straight out, feel the bottom hip, bottom oblique. Last 5, nice and long, last 4, last 3. Again, try not to rest. We're gonna find our last plank. We're gonna come onto our forearms. We just have to stretch it out after here. Again, make that rectangle, not a triangle. We've got 2 sets of things to do, and then we're gonna stretch it out. We're gonna rock ourselves forward, come onto your toe mounds, and send yourself back. So if you're on a reformer, it's like you're sawing yourself back and forth. We're gonna find 5 of these. Last 3. Last push, guys. Keep it up. All of the cues we worked on, keeping that core engaged, zipping up those inner thighs, back to neutral. Little hip dips. If this doesn't feel good on your low back, forget it. Otherwise, you're dropping down and up and over. That's 1. Up and over for 2. Going to 6. Up and over for 3. Up and over for 4. So close. For 5. We're going to lie down on our bellies. In 6. And back to neutral and all the way down. Beautiful work. We're just going to shake it out from here. Find lots of length. Reaching the arms out. Nice big stretch. Good. And we're just going to do one nice circle the arms around to find a little extension. Okay, it's a little bit of work, but after all the flexion, we want to make sure we do a little bit of extension. Make sure your props and water bottles are out of the way. Last one, reach it back and hold it there. Find lots of length in through the neck, in through the shoulders. Hands are going to come underneath your shoulders. You're going to push yourself back into your final child's pose of the day. Push the arms forward. Feel a really nice reach and stretch. Good. Walk your hands over towards the left side. Feel the stretch in your right side body. Breathe into the backs of your lungs. We usually don't get enough air there. Walk the hands over towards the right side. Stretch out that left side body. I need this one more. We're going to come back to the center. And from there, we're going to find a kneeling hip flexor stretch. When we do our abs, you're always going to get into your hips a little bit, depending on what you did the day before, how much legs, were you skating, were you running, that's going to change things. So sometimes it's nice to do a little stretch beforehand to open them before we do our core work. I definitely like to finish off with that. What's really important is you're making sure that you're tucking that back glute. So once you've done that tuck, and if you can, if it's available for you, you're going to tuck the toes, squeeze and open the front of the hip. Another little option is to take that same arm as back leg, just lift and reach out of the body. Really nice. And then we're going to switch sides, sending that leg that was forward back and vice versa. This is my tighter side, so I always have to be careful. I tuck the glute first before I send myself forward. And again, stabilizing on the inside of the thigh, reaching up and over, holding about 30 seconds. And then we're going to make our way into sitting. We're going to finish with just a few breaths. So one hand on the belly, one hand on the heart. Find a nice inhale. Start to calm down your breath. Send the air from your breath to your belly and let it all go. Thank you all so much for joining me. I picked a selection of my favorite core and a little bit of mobility exercises. The core work is activation. It's meant to help stabilize you, to pull out some imbalances in through your body. It's going to help with your rehab, any back pain, hip pain, but it's also going to help us prepare for heavier exercises. So doing a little bit of these core activation drills, whether it's the full 30-minute series or picking a handful of them that worked well for you before you get on our beautiful reformer, before you do some of your work in the gym, before you go on the ice, is really going to help you to prepare your body for the movement it's about to do and avoid or reduce the chance of injuries. This is the most important work you can do for the health of your hips, your pelvis, and your spine. So I'm really thankful to have you all here practicing with me today, and I look forward to seeing you in one of my other classes.